what's going on? Legionuti here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our daily gaming XP grind episode 82. And we've been doing quite a bit of work behind the scenes. We actually made an episode and the volume, our mic sort of stopped responding. So it took a little bit of time to figure out the technical difficulties of that. And now that it's done, we can actually make an episode. So that's quite nice. Unfortunately, I did quite a bit of work and then none of it got recorded. So anyway, let's jump right in. We got rid of a lot of our chests here, and all we have left is this one, and this is basically going to be our junk, and then this is sort of random things, and this is our rune essence. So this is something that we did behind the scenes, and we already had a little bit of this in here, but we've went out and gathered a lot more rune essence. So we also worked on cooking a little bit. Let's go ahead and do an XP update really quick, since so much has happened behind the scenes, but none of it actually got accounted for. So we're going to go ahead and eat a little bit to get our character hydrated, and then we're going to go ahead. So, attack XP 307,000, wood cutting 1,001,000, construction 2,011,000, rune crafting 683,000 XP. So we definitely put a huge dent in that. Magic 107,000 XP, mining 4,128,000, artisan 4,094,000, and cooking 279,649. So we put a huge dent in cooking as well. So let's go ahead and go to sleep, as it is nighttime now. And basically, we've moved a lot of our chests and organized a lot more things. All of our food is organized in chests over there, as well as our scrolls have been moved here. I think we've got more scrolls in the area where we built a lot of other stuff in the game. We just haven't transferred it over, as really we don't need the scrolls. We just sort of wanted to hang on to them. So rune essence won't be spawning for a little bit, as we just ran a path to get them all. And as far as food, we have a little bit left because we just cooked quite a bit. So let's jump right in and start killing a little bit of sheep and ram. And it's unfortunate because we actually talked quite a bit about quite a few things in the game, whether they were coming to the game or already in the game. I noticed a little bit, I'm not sure if it was my computer, maybe potentially had to do with basically the mic. I'm not sure what even happened with that. So, but what I can say is that what a difference. We added a couple more lodestones so we could get to areas faster. That actually, I noticed a lot of sheep and rams sort of spawn in those spots. So I want to be able to have faster access to them, as well as maybe a couple more areas where we're going to be able to gather rune essence. So quite a bit actually has been happening behind the scenes. Ultimately, I saw a spot where a lot of sheep and rams spawn in, and I really wanted to sort of start taking advantage of that. I didn't think it really made a lot of sense to sort of just not get those. So we worked really hard to basically put some lodestones out and things like that. And right now, obviously, there's a Thrain here, and we don't really want to deal with him. It's unfortunate because we just went to sleep, which means he's probably going to be here for a while. So we're going to go to other areas where we can actually sort of do things that we want to and not have to worry about insane amounts of different things happening. We had to make another chest for our animal bones, as we've got so many now that it's going to basically require a second chest pretty soon here. It looks like a little bit of essence has spawned in right there, so we're going to have to grab that. But I mean, yeah, so quite a bit's happening. New chests, moved chests, organized chests, and I think there's even some more lodestones we could add to a couple of different places that we're going to need them. But we're making incredible progress. Obviously, certain things are moving faster than other things. At some point, I'm probably going to have to gather a lot of dirty water behind the scenes and then turn it into clean water. And it's not because we're going to get an insane amount of XP from doing this. It's more so for the fact that we might want to use some more animal fangs at some point. And obviously, if you use clean water, it takes half the amount. So I think that's going to be really beneficial. So one of the big things that I noticed basically in one of the episode that I was trying to make that basically didn't come out right was the graphical change, potentially, because I'm not sure if it was my graphics card having some sort of malfunction. I'm not quite entirely sure. But I was fighting Abyssal Demon, and it's incredibly powerful, so I'm not even sure what's going on with that. I blocked, and his abilities got through the shield, and he basically killed me within 3 hits, which I never really had a problem fighting Abyssal Demon. I have died before, but this was something completely different, and quite strange, really. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, but we're obviously going to go back out there and see if it's the same. But then also, after we were done fighting and he killed me, I almost had him down all the way, but I decided to jump down and use melee to finish him off. And that was my fatal mistake, because at that point he then killed me. But interestingly enough, the thing that I sort of noticed was that there wasn't any fog in that part of the swamp. And I'm very certain that that's an area that usually has fog, and there was just a lot of graphical advancements, it seemed, in that area. And so there's a couple things. It could have been my graphics card. That's a possibility. Or the other possibility is that actually, in fact, it is an actual upgrade to the graphics or a change. And my thought process behind this was potentially for Fellhollow, that maybe what they're trying to do, it's not quite working, or maybe doesn't look the way they want it to. So it sort of had an effect in a different area of the game. Obviously, I've got no way to prove this, but it seems to make a lot of sense to me if that is actually in fact what happened. But I'm probably going to go back there here in a minute. I'm going to go now, and let's just take a look. So there is fog now. It could have been the time of day. Maybe they changed it for that time of day. But I also noticed other things, like a more vibrant color. So now that I'm not seeing it, it could have been time of day or it could have been my graphics card. But basically, there was no fog around. It was quite interesting. The Abyssal Demon looked more vibrant. Basically, everything did. So I'm not 100% sure what that was about. But I suppose they still look pretty vibrant. So maybe it's not an illusion. Maybe it's actually not in my head at all, and it in fact was real. But the fog was not here. There was no fog. So I've got no idea what that was about. I thought it was really cool though. I thought it had a very unique look to it. I thought potentially that they were trying to change it because maybe they had some complaints from players that it was really hard to see out here. Um, and that potentially it was supposed to somehow add to it, or like I said before, maybe it was because of Fell Hollow, and it was sort of a graphical change across the board. So I'm not quite sure really what happened there, but we don't really have to worry about it too much, as I'm sure there's going to be plenty of changes across the board, and until Fell Hollow comes to the game. But we're not that far really away from range coming to the game, so we're quite excited about that. I don't really see the Abyssal Demon. Like I said, we were having a quite intense battle, and he annihilated me, which was quite strange because I had my shield up, and it sort of just went through anyway. So it's very possible it just had to do with the graphics, and so let's see. It's so weird. And then after I died, the Abyssal Demon just sort of disappeared, and I couldn't find him again. And I actually went around the swamp quite a bit trying to find him, and I was not successful. So I'm not quite sure what exactly happened or where he went. My possible thought behind it is that he sort of teleported to the Bloodblight Swamp, and I'm not even sure if that's possible. Little information I have about it, but we're going to check here one more time just to see if potentially he's spawned back in. But it was very unusual, a lot of different things about it. Primarily the strength that he had. He had more HP as well, so I thought it was very interesting. But obviously I don't want to spend too much more time on it. It is an interesting thing, but at the same time we've got work to do. So I just wanted to sort of go over that, and maybe potentially you guys have noticed that he's a little bit stronger as well. And then the fog, I guess, potentially could have been a graphics card, which would make sense since overall my mic just sort of stopped working too as well. So let's get out of here and go back and kill more sheep and ram. Ultimately, I was just trying to potentially see what was going on and what changed. This is one of the new lodestones that we added, and it's because obviously most of the time when we spawn in right here, we could see down over the ledge that there was a couple sheep and ram down there, and we don't want to really miss that, because when we're out here hunting and in the amount that we do, we obviously want to make it as beneficial as possible, and just be, I guess, efficient with our time. So now we just got smacked by lightning, so that's quite unfortunate. But you can see here, so they spawn here, and then they sort of wander that way. So we wanted to kind of combat that by adding more lodestones in here. It's just crazy to think that if the map that they're going to be adding with Fell Hollow is 2.5 times the size of what we currently got in the game, I mean, just to think about what that's going to add. It's going to be such a large scale. Hopefully they put enough monsters in the game, basically, that it's not tons of dead, wasted land. But I'm pretty sure that after listening to the players for all this time, that they have a pretty good understanding of what we're hoping to get, and then hopefully they can deliver on that. But basically, Right now, I mean, we did quite a bit of work behind the scenes, and it doesn't really show because obviously, um, it's just an insane amount of time spent hunting, gathering, and things like that. And obviously, when it's recorded, it shows more so. But I guess for those of you who are also working on a grind, you understand what we've basically put in to get there. But cooking is the worst, and it's just a non-stop grind. But obviously, I believe it's October 1st, sometime around then, they're going to be changing the ratio to what you're going to be required to use when cooking. I think it's going to be like a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm not sure if it's for everything, but that should dramatically give us more XP while working on cooking in the game. It would just require less resources, which is going to be really big. Let's see if we can find some sheep and ram. I'm not really seeing any on this side. We can grab these dwellberries. But we also put a lodestone where there was one creature. It's a plant. It kept spawning in trying to kill us. So we actually put a lodestone over it. I'm not sure if it worked because there's a time it's going to take for him to respond. But that's sort of a potential way to combat things like a plant because it really wouldn't work on things like Thrain and Garu and all those sort of things, but it could really work um, on something that's sort of still and just spawns in every once in a while. Our inventory is already almost full, so we're probably just going to go ahead and put all this stuff away so we can keep killing more sheep and ram. And every time I go to do it, I'm getting struck by lightning. It's quite frustrating, actually. But let's get back to killing more of these. It's going to be quite nice to be able to use range to kill these guys. Um, I'm not 100% sure if there's going to be an auto assist. Regardless, even if there is or there isn't, we've been practicing on range quite a bit while shooting down all the different rune essence nodes. So potentially we'll be in a good situation with our aim. Either way, where it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to be quite fun. So we've got a ranger over there by these 2 ram, 3 ram, 4 ram, 5 ram. That's crazy. And a sheep over there. I don't think I've ever seen so many ram in one spot. Um, Now we're out of energy, so he's going to come over here and try to annihilate us. Obviously, it's not really that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and wait for some energy to come back, and then we're going to try to pull all these rams over here. We really don't want to have to deal with that ranger, but I don't think there's going to be a way around this. So let's go ahead and grab all this and try to take all these guys out in a big group. It's going to be a little bit tricky. I think we're going to be okay, though. He hasn't even got a shot off on us yet. And here it comes. We got shot by an arrow. Okay, so that worked out quite nice. Lots of ingredients for cooking here. It's just basically the grind. I don't even know how this... Is that piece of rune essence? It must have fallen off the cliff and landed right there. But let's go. It's going to be so cool to see all the new things that the game has when Valhalla comes out. Such a change of scenery and just adding so much to the game. Let's see if we can't find some more sheep, and there they are. It's just sort of a path that you sort of learn, and then you basically hunt these guys in such a crazy amount. What makes it really hard is when you're trying to play the game and you sort of see things that you want to do and you have to run by all of them, leaving things behind. It's unfortunate. But we're only capable of doing so much at once. So it's important to keep your head together, because otherwise you're going to have a problem, because you're going to be scattered and you're less effective when you have a scattered brain trying to work on these different things. Almost time to use our personal chest again, and it wouldn't surprise me if the lightning decided to strike again at exactly the moment that we're trying to do that. It seems to be the case lately. I think they're knowing what I'm trying to do potentially, and they're trying to slow me down. I don't really think that's what it is, but sometimes it feels like that. There were so many times early in the game when I was getting like progress, and it just felt like then I get struck by lightning right when I get back to my base. And I'm sure it was just actual coincidence, but it seemed a little bit more personal than that. But obviously I think that's just my delusional mind. Let's see if we got all these. We did. So let's go back up here. See if we can find any sheep and ram. And look at that. We've got a load of them all waiting for us. That was terrible. I almost got that blast off. We've been working pretty hard on trying to get our base more organized. You can see that so many chests are no longer there. And I think the real reason for that is because we want to be able to get everything really organized. And now we have an understanding of what we're working towards and what we're working on and what we're not going to be working on. So I think that allows us to really put ourselves in a situation where we don't need as many chests. And I knew that was coming. I could feel it. I could feel him behind me. And that guy's the worst. One shot from behind. I think I was already missing a little bit of life. But that's terrible when you just get smacked in the back. That's not fun. But basically, we're going to wait a second here so that way we can actually go to sleep. So when we wake up, we can just sort of do it and get our stuff back. Because obviously, it's not going to do anybody any good if I sort of pop back in and he's still sitting there. So let's go ahead and grab all these cabbage. And I guess we can go put these in our little food chest over there. It was a really big bummer when basically my audio stopped working. I didn't like that. It was not fun. So let's see. I don't know. We're way too far away from going over to sleep. So let's just go back to our body. Who cares? I guess if we get smacked in the face again, then we get smacked in the face. But I don't want to get smacked. Look at all these sheep and ram, and I got to leave them because it's dark. So much other stuff I got to get out of here. That's why our inventory is so full. Alright. Hopefully he doesn't just sort of pop up again on us. That would be unfortunate. Because I would like to get all these ingredients off the ground. Alright. Let's go over here. There was a giant herd over there that I'd like to kill. But it looks like they're already up on the ridge right there. So let's just go ahead and go back. And then I think we can go to sleep. We should probably actually empty out our inventory here since we're back at the base. And then hopefully by then it'll be time to go to sleep. Just because obviously we want to make sure we're rested and our character is hydrated. But it's going to take a lot of work to accomplish everything we want to in the game. But I'm going to just let you know right now that we are committed to it and it's going to happen. And the only thing that can stop us really is ourselves. So we're not going to let that happen. And we're going to keep pushing forward, working really hard to make all this a reality. We're really interested and invested in making sure that we reach max 99 in all these skills. So let's see, I need a little bit more onions, fried onions. That obviously takes quite a bit of time to get to 99 in all these skills. I think cooking is going to be the worst, but they might change that, obviously, with the 1-to-1 ratio. But then it's also probably going to change with the fact of new things coming to the game that you're going to be able to cook. But as I've stated before, it doesn't mean it's going to be easier. I think that's going to present new challenges because a lot of these things that potentially are so simple now, they're not as simple as I guess that I've stated, because even out here you might get smacked in the back by a garu or an arrow sort of pierces you through the back. So I guess I wouldn't say easy. I would just say things are going to get a lot more challenging. That's for sure. 100%. I think that there's just going to be different things that we're going to have to worry about that we normally maybe haven't been worried about in the game. I'm trying to get that sheep, but it looks like I got him. That's crazy. I can't believe that blast got him. But yeah, basically, this sort of hunting with ease, I don't think is really going to be the case once Valhalla comes to the game. I've spent a little bit of time in the past talking about this, but I think what's really going to happen is we're going to have all these new creatures, all these new monsters, and they're going to be fighting us along the way. I don't think certain resources are going to be super easy to get. I don't think you're just going to be able to walk up and grab adamant ore with little resistance. I think all these things are going to pose threats, which is actually just the way I want it. It needs to mean something. If you potentially play the game with other players and they have some sort of rare armor, hopefully you can look at it and it's a respected thing because you know how hard they had to work for it. I think that adds quite a bit. So let's see. We've got a sheep here, 2 of them, and then we've got a ram. But let's see here. But basically, in the next episode, we're probably going to be working on rune crafting. We're probably going to try to go through some of that rune essence, and it should give us quite a bit of XP, quite a nice chunk. And I think that'll be quite nice to finally capitalize on that and get rewarded for all that essence that we collected. We've got to be careful here because now we've got other problems. It's just ridiculous. It just seems like they won't leave me alone. They're making it very difficult, but that's okay. So I want to actually teleport to the swamp, not to really find the abyssal demon. I wanted to see if the fog was still here, and it is, which is interesting because, like I stated before, it was sort of gone the other day. Earlier today, I mean. It was just gone. And it was weird to me. I thought, why would they take it out? And it looks like they actually, in fact, didn't. It was just something with my graphics card. So very interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and put all this stuff away really quick. And then we are going to do an XP update, even though we already kind of did one earlier. A warband is attacking our base. So I guess we're going to wait a second on an XP update and deal with all these guys really quick. This blast should do quite a bit. That was quite nice. But we will be doing an XP update once we finish these guys off and put our stuff away. Here comes another group of them. Here we go. It's so many of them. It's quite crazy. Let's wait till they get in range. There we go. Quite powerful, really. This is a good method to do it with, honestly. We are still getting beat up a little bit, but for the most part, there we go. They're all dead. And we got ourselves quite a bit of goblin packs. So that's quite nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and... This is sort of a random chest as well. So let's do an XP update really quick. I don't think I have anything in my personal chest. I think I emptied it all and I didn't fill up the inventory. Okay. So attack. We didn't really do much. 307,000. Woodcutting 1,001,000. Construction 2,011,000. Rune crafting 683,000. Magic 110,000. Mining 4,128,000. Artisan 4,094,000. And cooking 279,944. So obviously we did do quite a bit, like I stated before, in cooking behind the scenes. But I think we're going to really start to see progression ramp up. Especially once range comes to the game, because we're going to be using that style of combat to kill a lot more creatures. But anyway, guys, we hope you guys are enjoying our content. And next episode, we're going to be working on rune crafting with all that essence. And until next time, Legion out.